Was it still the sound there that wasn't?
Well, it wasn't really the sound, it was like you're getting confused on which ending it was.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a thing that people get confused on. For real things, I like to say it's kind of like when you're driving, but you're not driving yet. But like, say somebody was driving you home and they asked you for directions, and they would say, "Do I turn on this street or do I go on that street?" And I always think of finding my way on pieces like this is like, oh, I don't go there this time. Like I'm gonna pass that exit and then I'm gonna keep going, and then this one. So I try and give myself organizational directions like I'm trying to get home. So on the first time, why don't you play it for me and then tell me where that moment of like, ooh, what do I do next happens? So, because they're very similar, aren't they? And they're echoes too. Da, da, da. So where do you want to start for just memorizing? Can you see? Sorry.
Yeah.
Where's a good spot for you? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so on this one, on that last G, I might hold it just a little bit longer for just 1 second. And practice it that way a few times, just so I can make a stronger connection to that downbeat. Because the first time we have it, where's the other time that we have it? So, yeah, okay, now play that one. Ah. Good, so when we go down, that's the ending, but when we go down like this, no, sorry. Right here, we're going a little bit farther. So it's these 3 notes here. Do you have a pencil? So let's just kind of drill it a little bit, Rafi. I should have a pencil. I just came from school. That's my painting spot.
Only pencil we have is broken.
Oh no. Okay. Well, we'll remember it. So there's a pencil over here. Oh, there's a pen. That would be sacrilege. Okay, let's not do that. Okay, Rafi, let's just see if we can do it from memory, because I think you can do it without us having to write it in. And it would be more important if we write it in your brain than on the paper. Okay, so the first time, it's taking us back around so we can loop. It's kind of like we got lost and we're driving home. We're like, oh, missed the exit. Turn around. And then the final time we actually do make it home and it's ended. So if I told you, this is kind of like our approach. Can you play the approach? Good. Okay, so that's the approach, and we do that 2 times. We do that when we do. And we also do it here. Oh. Yeah. One takes us up high, one takes us looping around. So which one takes us looping around? The first one or the second one? Yeah, okay. So do the approach again for me. Good. Now, the next filler notes so that we loop around. Do we go down or do we keep going down or do we go down and up?
Going down.
Yeah. So now, can you fill in the next 3 notes? Just for me, what comes after that? That's it. Okay, good. Now, let's do the second time. So, what happens there? That's so different, isn't it? Because Did we go stepwise or did we do something else? We skipped, didn't we? So if you can remember that one is stepwise and one skips, then I think it'll help. Because that's one thing in kind of building up our directions for this piece that we have to tell ourselves over and over again. Okay, so let me quiz you. Every time I hold up 2, you're gonna go to the ending spot. Every time I hold up 1, you're gonna do the loop around spot, okay? But the approach is always the same. Good, you got it. You said it was a hard thing. That was a success. Okay, now I want to know, well, we should probably start doing this as a duet in a little bit, but I don't have a piano part to play the bass line with you. Okay, can I hear now, this for first time is loud. So I'd like to hear that part, not as scratchy as I played it. Can you start from here, the D sharp here? And so I want to hear the contrast, the loud and the soft, okay? Because 1 and 2 are different also. Good, okay. So I didn't hear a huge contrast now between this has to be pretty intense because then we also grow somewhere. Let's start at the piano actually, because that's the harder one. So can you start the second time? And before we do it, let's make a plan. How are we going to play piano? So a little lighter. Okay, so let's try 2-finger piano. Okay, so ready, go. Then we got a crescendo there. So now let's watch your 2-finger piano again, and let's watch how your stick is controlled, like how controlled your stick is. If it's wibble wobbling, it means that we have to look at how you're holding and controlling your bow, okay? It's hard, isn't it? Go ahead and go a little harder out if you want in the bow too, because then you'll have some leverage. Good. Ah! Crescendo there. So do you know why it's wobbling a little bit? I know why it is. I'm wondering if you can do it one more time and just observe your bow. Because there's something going on in how you're holding it that's making it wobble. But maybe you'll notice it this time on the 3rd try. So go a little farther out in the bow, just because that was where it would happen. Okay, so I'll tell you what was happening for the wobble, because, and it's still happening a little bit, but it's partially your thumb and how it's connecting over in this spot right here. So when I'm doing this, I know my thumb is pretty secure and that this is going nowhere. So if you tried to lift off my cello bow right now with your, just try. Like, it's not, so, and it's because my arm weight is coming from above and then my first finger is applying all that weight there and it feels really secure. Now if I did that to you, would you be able to do that same feeling? Okay, I'm gonna come around, can you do it? Oh. Good. Now, I think we just need a little more curve in your thumb. The reason I feel more secure is because right now, because you're using a little bit more of the fleshy side of your thumb, it doesn't grab as much. So I'm using a little bit more of the tip, and then more of this is leverage. And that's making a big difference in how much control, but it's gonna feel weird. I'm gonna try again. But do you see how it kind of dips in a little bit more? So let's try this, Rafi, right now. We're just gonna do these kind of pop bows, but only with a curvy thumb, keeping your first finger in. But it'll help with your articulation, so we're just gonna go, we could do that. Oh, I forgot. Just a few times from front to tip. 5, 6, 7, 8. Can you try that just on your D? And just every time, just it kind of sinks in and pops out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now push in. 1, 2. It's a different feeling going the other direction. 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Okay. So we're looking for that when we're getting the articulation for your bow. Now the other thing is did you ever do this with Mr. Aaron? Like dribbles or bounces? Or with any of your previous teachers? Because a lot of times when I'm not getting the sound that, and I think Rafi too, when you're not getting the sound you want or the control, it's a lot of times what happens on the latter half of the bow. It's not directed and it kind of wobbles, so it just makes it unclear. So let's just do a few of these. You're just gonna tap and just see how many bounces you get as you go to tip. So like, and as you go out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It'll go. And you're gonna try and get all the way out to the tip, so. Good, okay, so you're using, and you have to open. Good, again. And you can't just go at the end and start making it bounce. So when you're going over here, you have to make sure that your hand kind of turns the doorknob this way. Because if it doesn't turn the doorknob this way, the bow isn't going to keep bouncing. And then we might as well just turn it this way, because that's what bows used to look like. So you have to make sure as you go out, turn the doorknob out. That's it. And also don't fall off here. So you have to make sure you control your tip. Good, okay, that was even better. Just try to keep it in the same landing area. Gotta dribble in your lane. So stay in one lane. Almost all the way there. Start now about here. So start the bounce right there and see if you can dribble all the way to it. Good, now you have to watch what's happening on your bow hand. Good, so you have to look for that little, and now don't get flops. Stay firm up here, and this one can release, but no flopping, okay? Good. Okay. And this is an important part of your bow practice that we have to develop. It's just that normally we practice from small here, and then we expand out, and so. But a lot of times, like, I'm still trying to get them focused on how their tip is doing. And this is just something that we're going to have to build up because, like, I didn't start you, so it's just going to be something I want you to know about. Okay, do you want to know a fun way to practice it? Okay, so can you do this part? So you're going to do, on your C and G, you're going to put down first finger so you play a D and A. And then we're going to bounce on them. So we're going to kind gonna bop here, bop, and then we're gonna dribble here. Ooh, we have to go all the way up here, so can you give me one little plop on the G and G? Good, and then have it, good. Now when you go up here, you're gonna have a very, very heavy first finger, and we're gonna get thump, thump. So let's just see if we can get a thump, thump, thump on your D and A. So roll it away, and actually, I'm gonna try and push against my first finger before we try. Now, target the D and A string, so you might need to roll up higher this way. When I let go, it's gonna bounce, hopefully. Good, now let me do it again. Good, good, and you, now try and keep it from falling, so. When it hits the string, you want to stay in that zone. Good. Good, now can you add some motion to it when I let go? So pull down bow. Good. Okay, good, okay. Add some motion to it when I let go. So stay close to the tip. Good, okay, that was a dribble that we were looking for. So this is a new technique. So I'll show you, so can you do this sound here? That's kind of called batuto. It's kind of because you're kind of beating your string. So you kind of batted it here, and now you're also going to bat here. And then on your D and A string. Oh, you got it! Okay. So we'll put that together because this is what you do. Stronger. So, preview. That's what we'll call it. Okay. So I need a lot more stronger first finger. Now we kind of went around, but now I have to hear a piano here. Do you think that that first finger can make a very convincing piano now? When we go back to here, which is like so much less fun than all the other things that we just tried in the past few minutes. Keeping the stick from wobbling and keeping the tip really controlled was much better. Guess what? You get to put all the other fingers down because I don't want to torture you and I like you. So now let's add all the fingers and go to the very beginning where it was forte. So let's go over there now. And so with more of a relaxed hand and all the way, let's go ahead and do the forte. That's one of the big dynamics that we're going to look for. Can you find another forte and piano spot for me? Oh, that's a great one. Yeah. So this one here is a catch release. Remember we talked about so late at night. Okay, so you just want to make sure everyone rings like a bell. I'm in the wrong book, aren't I? I'm in the wrong book. Okay, will you do the forte and piano for me? crispness has changed a lot. So let's go to the very beginning. And so we're still thinking about articulations. We're still going to elevate it, but this is our first Baroque sonata. So we get the lovely. We have that to look forward to in book 5. So if we don't nail this here, we're gonna have a lot of chances to nail that articulation. So we might not have it down perfect, and that's okay with me because we're gonna have a lot of Baroque sonatas coming up. But I want us to start working on how we're refining it. So let's start at the very beginning of Allegro now, okay? Go ahead, go on. Okay, so good job. Nice work on this, because we've only had, this is our 4th lesson together? Hasn't been very many. So, and we just covered this. So you've already beat the spread of what I expected, having it end to end like weeks ago. And so there's no rush on what we're working on next, but refining it. So a lot of the refinement issues are 2 things. It's your thumb and how it connects to your bow, and it's your first finger and how it's kind of directing all the weight and energy here. So that's just something that I want us to work on. So I think ricochets and bounces will be good. So we'll talk about that more next time I see you. Trying to think of the best way, like the best approach to do it, since like Reiki hasn't been my student for a long time. So where to build from scaffold from what Mr. Eric taught him. So because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. I just have to kind of find a way to build it from there. And also, like I'm telling him that we'll also touch on this a lot later. So if we don't get it here, there's going to a lot of time for us to refine it and build it. You're playing that. Do you all have it pizzicato, or do you have it bowed too? Can I hear it? And you've just done the first minuet, right? Okay. the one thing that I really like about when I hear you play, and I like the most, is that you're so like thoughtful about the music, that you have an intention of how you want it to sound, and it's not like I had to listen to it 20 times so someone told me how it should feel. Like you have a good sense of it on your own. My concern is making sure that bow hold and left hand things don't get in the way. So everything that's musical about you, which is really musical, happens. Because there's nothing more frustrating than wanting to do something and not being able to do it. If you've watched your sister try and get something, I'm sure you see that on a daily basis. But we have cello fits all the time. So most of the things that I'm seeing are, and it might just be a difference in philosophy, is that Mr. Eric plays a little bit more like this, where he's kind of torqued his hand just a little bit. That's never been my style because I'm a smaller person and I have small hands. And I think for children it's not the best practice. Also because it takes your hand out of natural alignment. You want to be as close to neutral as possible. Mr. Eric even had a revelation where he's like, oh yeah, it actually kind of hurts now, so maybe I should soften. So I think you're always playing with maybe just a little more tension than you need to. And if you've ever choked something, you know it's not good. And you can actually choke the sound out of your cello if you're holding too tight. So we just have to find that right balance as you're walking through. But there's nothing major that we have to, redo right now. But I want you to think of suction cups. Have you ever seen like those frogs in the rainforest with those like amazing feet that like, that's what your fingers on both sides have to be able to do. It's just kind of and lock and unlock when necessary, because it's the most fascinating thing, but I think it's just the best image for us for your sound. For your Bach, okay, so I think what you want is Bach to be conversational. So if I went like this, that would be the end of my statement, and then you would pick up where I left off. Okay, if that makes sense to you where you left off there, then I would pick up here. That was a question. Where, do you know where I am? Ah, there you found me. Oh no. So for this week, I want you to think of this as question and answer in a dialogue of one cello, because nothing here is throw you off, fingering wise or note wise. So I think you should start thinking of kind of the more fun, like if Bach was trying to make this a one dialogue, how it would sound, but then you also have to sound a little bit crazy because you're talking to yourself on your cello. So try and do that this week. Now, sometimes I ask people to give me punctuation, like question, exclamation point, semicolon. You don't need to go to that level, but I want to hear that level of thought to it. If you feel like going on to this part, start in third. That's all I'm going to say about that. Don't start in first or else we have to redo the whole thing. And then this is a lot of, the teaching point here I'll tell you is small shifts of positions and then going back. A lot of extensions, small shift. So it's these like really tiny, like exploring half position, extensions, and kind of a little bit of caterpillar shifts. So Try it out. I should let you go. You can always tell me that I've gone way over time. Cause I've told you before, I can't tell time when I'm teaching. And so be rude, it's okay to stop me, I'm not